Hello, everybody. This is Sean Speaks, and I want to continue my conversation on Black mental fragility. I want to focus really on some of the things that we say to ourselves. One thing specifically I know that I used to say to myself that I know a lot of people still do say. I do believe that America needs to gain credibility with Black America. The lies America allowed to be told to us to build anti-fragility in one race at the expense of the Black race is really unforgivable. America will one day answer for its crimes of capital murder, genocide, rape, theft of people, falsification of historical documentation, and a host more of high crimes against Black people. But for now, Black people must rid ourselves of our fragile thinking. History, with America's blessing and authority, taught us Black people that we were worthless, useless, unchosen, lazy slave race of a people, and that we should just be happy we get to go to church freely on Sunday, get to live on the same street with white people without being beaten, shot, and killed for sport. Intellectually now, we know we're not lazy, useless, or worthless, and white people know it too. But America, through its constitution, its laws, and its ideology, allowed false ideas about us to penetrate the minds of white Americans and others. Our forefathers were beaten, buck-broken, isolated, separated from family in their own land so that white people could have a greater advantage over Black people. We will never forget this. Our bodies, our resources, our skills, and our time were used so that the European peasants could become more knowledgeable, more mentally ruthless, more anti-fragile, more American at the expense of our dignity. America took our language away, hid, burned, and banned our true history, just like it's banning books today, and taught us lies and half-truths. America may never tell us the truth, but we don't need it to. We now have pens and loud voices. Despite our being burned and tortured in America at the hands of people who are supposed to be human too, we still rose like a phoenix from the ashes. Despite our rise, however, we need to increase our mental anti-fragility from within. Now, what I'm about to say may sting a little. One of our biggest fears that keep us mentally fragile in America is that we are afraid that they might be right about us. We worry, even in 2022, about who we were, who we are, and who we can become, and where we fit in this society. Unfortunately, many of us believe, at least in comparison to others, that our past human condition and our skin tone make it doubly or even triply hard to succeed in America. That is why we say things like we have to work twice as hard to have half as much. Have you ever said this? When did you start saying it? Why do you say it? Who taught you this statement? And why was it told to you? Why would such a religious, faithful people ever repeat such a weak statement about ourselves? Is this a mental fragile thought or an anti-fragile thought? Is this thought based in our power of being human or a fear in being Black in America? What does this thought say about your belief in your own space of possibility? This type of thinking keeps us in a type of mental prison. It keeps our minds fragile and perpetuates in our mental psyche a fear that we don't really belong here. So we need to work doubly hard to just eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. This type of thinking keeps us forever unsatisfied with this beautiful life. Have you noticed? We keep trying to become something within what they say is okay for us to be. It's like we are trained to need their permission before we can evolve. And we keep achieving what they allow us to have, but yet we keep realizing those achievements are not satisfying. When the hunger is from within, only the person with the hunger knows what satisfies. They keep using us to satisfy their hunger while we starve. It's time we create our own table with our own feast. But first, there are some things I encourage us to no longer say, think, or believe. For many of us, this statement of working twice as hard to get half as much was a psychological hindrance. Many of us, in reaction to this belief about ourselves, went to college, got multiple degrees, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt, trying to prove we have earned our half as much reward. We are using our own words against our best interests. Do you really think you're working twice or thrice as hard to have half as much is a productive use of your energy in this limited amount of lifetime you have? And do you think it benefits your mental psyche? I don't think so. In fact, I guess for many of us, we feel depressed, drained, and frustrated because we feel we have to work twice as hard to have half as much. And on top of that, many of you got all those degrees trying to get the half reward that came with all that debt. And guess what? Those efforts got us no financial resources left over to plant financial seeds for our children or our children's children. America intentionally put Black people at a historical, economic, and social disadvantage and then told us to educate our way out with student loan debt that most of us can never pay back. We wanted to live the dream of wearing the corporate suit, to arrive, to finally fit. After wearing the suit, many of us found that it came with a hammer to our personality that required us to pay a heavy price that we were unwilling or unfit to pay. I used to be ashamed to say I was unfit for corporate America, but now I have no problem saying it. I never want to fit in any club that doesn't want me. Corporate America turns you into a hamster on a wheel. You expend a lot of energy but go nowhere. And by the time you finish paying your student loans off, if you ever do, most of your seed money to build for your children's future is gone. And then you die. At your death, you realize that all your energy on the hamster wheel fueled another man's legacy for his children or for charity. Now they're so comfortable in their economic lead over us that they are not even leaving all their wealth to their children. They are leaving most of it to corporate charities, many of which are designed to keep poor people poor. We followed the blueprint to achieve this American dream. We gave up our dignity in exchange, but yet we are still complaining. And now we are more tired, more depleted, and poor. At what point does our working harder exceed the benefit of the reward? We have to begin to ask ourselves this question. I'd rather give little effort and reap most or all of the reward that I can build from than to give great effort and someone else receive half or most of the reward that they can build from. Are we the determiner of what success is for us, or have we given that authority to others? Because if we have given that authority to others, and I suspect that many of us have, we will never be at peace with ourselves, and we will remain in complaint mode because they, and rightfully so, will always move the goalposts just out of your reach so that they can benefit mostly from our effort. Life is an impartial teacher. Life will use whoever uses it. If we keep allowing others to psychologically control us, life will never be able to use us, and we will never be able to use life to do the things we want, build the legacy we want to leave, and create perpetual wealth to our children's children. We must stop trusting what others teach more than we trust ourselves and life itself. Life is also like a publisher. It will allow you and others to create psychological thrillers with fears that numb your soul and stop your growth. Are we courageous enough to debunk the fears we once believed about ourselves and live life with courage? Thinking like this suggests that we have no ability to use efforts to manifest a future that benefit us more. We are being directed by a subconsciously constructed fear of living that we need to release first in our minds so we can change our lives. Begin to believe that we are an anti-fragile people with creative authority over our own lives. This is Sean Speaks, and remember, brain health is mental wealth.